Good afternoon and welcome to Lunch for the Soul. I'm Melissa Wilson in the Fox 26 newsroom. So, if you hear any hustle and bustle behind me, it is a working newsroom. Hopefully, we'll have a quiet news day so that I can really let you enjoy this unbelievable interview I have in store for you. It is a remarkable story, and you are going to be amazed at the outcome. It is going to touch you, it is going to make you say, "No way." So let's just get right to it. I want to bring in August Skopik right now. He has a tale to tell you. Welcome to Lunch for the Soul, August. I am so happy you're here.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to tell everyone that you're a fencer, which I think is fascinating. You're one of the first fencers I've ever gotten to meet and to get to know. So that's pretty cool. How did that begin for you in the first place? And then we're going to get into your dramatic story after we learn that.
Well, I went to Texas A&M. I took it in PE my freshman year. It was being an ex-football player, being only 5'10" and 170 pounds. I was not big enough to play football in college or anything like that, and took up fencing. One of my first competitions was at University of Houston that February. That was the spring semester after doing it in the fall, and the first person I fenced was very good. I got one touch on him. He said, "You did very well. Maybe you'll get two touches one day." That made me very competitive. Very much. I told myself I was going to beat him. I didn't realize he was a three-time national champion. So it took a little bit. It took me 4 years to be able to beat him the first time. So that's how I got started.
Well, you are very good. I've gotten to be there in your home the first time I met you when I was um, recording your first interview and learning and seeing all the things behind you in your office. It's so fascinating, all kinds of different sports memorabilia. Okay, let's get to why, as a medical reporter, I got to interview you in the first place. November of 2020, something very dramatic happened to you. There happened to be a camera where you were when you were fencing, and I'm going to show people so they can really get a good idea of what happened. So here you are. It just looks like a normal fencing class, right? Where were you?
I was at Alliance Fencing Academy, and this was a normal fencing bouting night, Tuesday or Thursday. They had bouting from 7 to 9. This was almost 8 o'clock on the time frame. I'm fencing a young lady. I think she's at Northwestern University now, Elizabeth Wang, and we're training. Those are all metal strips that we're on, and
Hmm.
I'm on the far side. I'm the third fencer from the right, and you see me with the mask up right now, and you see me right now falling backwards, and I had a full cardiac arrest. There I am laying on the ground. Um, I was fencing normally. I wasn't in any pain. I wasn't in any distress. I was huffing and puffing, but that was to be expected because we do work out and run around. And the next thing you know, woke up in a hospital.
What I want people to realize when you say cardiac arrest means your heart stops. We're not talking a heart attack where often you're just incapacitated for a while. You died right there on the floor. You were alive and then you weren't alive.
3 times.
What is remarkable about this situation is very few people survive that situation when it's outside of a hospital. Your doctor told me only 10% of people will survive this. But talking about being at the right place at the right time, when I think about you going through this, I can't fathom you being anywhere else because the thing is people there at your fencing studio had just completed a new round of training. They began quality CPR, which is what it takes. They are four people helping keep you alive until EMS got there. Do you remember anything leading up to this? Were you feeling bad? Did you have any symptoms?
No, I had no symptoms at all, and you're right. I had a full cardiac arrest. I actually, they say, died 3 times.
Mm.
You see the group over from me now. You can't tell, but from the screenshots before, the one in the black was a fencing coach, Dorian, and he had just gone through the cardiac training in October. This is November. Carlos, my other buddy from Guatemala, was another coach who worked on me. There's another gentleman named Chase, a fencer actually, who had gone through CPR training who worked on me. They worked on me for 9 minutes plus during that time frame. And yes, I died 3 times. They actually, and then several of the fencers went outside to direct the fire truck in so they could get in without being blocked. They One of the fencers reminded them that I was laying on the metal strip. You know, they use the electric surge
Oh, yeah.
to activate your heart, and I was laying on the metal strip. So I sweat quite a bit when I lay on the strip, so I'm assuming that would have been. I have no idea what would happen if they had to move me off the metal strip. And again, that didn't start till 9 minutes after I had my cardiac arrest. So they had kept me on CPR between the three of them that entire time.
How thankful are you for that team that was tirelessly working to save your life? 9 minutes is a very long time in order to keep somebody alive with quality CPR. Not everybody knows. They might have a general idea of how to do it, maybe not the rhythm, which is super fast. And it is very difficult to push somebody's chest that hard, and that they knew how to do it. I mean, it's just remarkable.
I'm forever grateful that I was in a place where God had me, and I was forever grateful for that. That those the gentleman, everybody there reacted, and God put me there in a place where I could be there. And additionally, there was even a visitor there that was there visiting during that time. He had never tried fencing, and he had come there specifically, said, yeah, I'm going to come there that night. God had spoken to him, and he was actually praying for me during that time, and we never saw him again. I don't even know who he is, but he was sent specifically to pray for me during that night.
I have so many goosebumps on top of goosebumps right now. I can't even hardly think straight. When you think about everything that fell into place, do you feel like your life has new meaning now? Do you live differently after undergoing something so dramatic?
I have to pay attention to everything I do, every aspect I do, every opportunity, whether it's teaching my grandchildren, whether dealing with my children, talking to them, whether dealing with coworkers, my spouse, everything. You have to pay attention to what you do because those moments you don't realize. I didn't realize that are treasured. You either you have the opportunity to move forward or not, and it is something that I take every opportunity to take advantage of.
And I feel like it's so important to point out too, where you were, I believe, as a medical reporter, also made a big difference in your recovery, in your survival to begin with. So you were rushed to Memorial Hermann, and they have an incredible cardiac team. They were on tap, ready for you the second you arrived there. They uh, put you into the operating room, did some life-saving procedures, and I got to interview your doctor, Dr. Herman, who really calls you a miracle. How incredible is that to hear from a doctor who works in this massive city at this huge hospital, who said you have a remarkable and a miraculous recovery?
Well, they have a remarkable team. I mean, Daniel Herman, they say that he is the best in the area. That when people from anywhere from this part of the country have a similar or some event, they call him. His team, when I went in for the stent surgeries and the other surgeries, his nurses were men who had fought in the war, who actually served as medics in the war. They were I would have considered them doctors. I would consider them top of the line doctors, and they were really what they consider helpers to Dr. Herman. It was, and then Dr. Drattel, who put in the pacemaker. He took my wife, walked her, told her what had happened, explained that I was going to recover 100%, and I have.
They also gave you a defibrillator, so it's inside. So just in case your heart were to get out of serious rhythm again, it would protect you. It would shock you back into correct rhythm.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now I keep asking them what's supposed to happen because I am curious, but I'm not that curious. I don't I'm curious, but not that curious. But yes, I keep asking them what's supposed to happen. They have a monitor that regulates it, that monitors any signals. I've not had any signals, and I am working out. Dr. Herman told me the last time I went in that he wanted me to push it, to make it, to go back and do what I was doing. And last night I took a fencing lesson, and yes, I am pushing it just a little bit.
And how do you feel doing that? Do you feel fearful a little bit?
You were in the beginning
Okay.
more than, and I'm even now. I used to not stop, and now I probably will stop at a point when I'm breathing a little too heavy. But I'm getting over that point more and more.
Oh, that's huge. And I think that just having that faith over fear, especially with your doctor saying push it, will hopefully make you feel a lot better and make a big difference in that. Let's talk about family history here, because the timing that all this happened is interesting, and that your father had a major heart problem at 60. You were really getting close to turning 60 when this happened to you. How do you feel about that looking forward and with your own family?
Well, I have three sons, and I'm telling them, to watch it. They've all on exercise programs. They're all watching that. They're all athletes of some type, but now they're not as much active as I am as being an athlete. But my oldest son just got me on the rowing machine. He showed me the rowing machine. He lives in Salt Lake City, so I row, do the rowing machine twice a day, 9 minutes a day right now, and he's doing it 25 minutes a day. So we're going to watch it. But as both Dr. Dutel and Dr. Herman have told me, it's tough to fight genetics, and there is genetics behind it. Apparently, my arteries were everything was very twisted, which made it easier for blockage to take place. Dr. Herman went in through my arm, had very difficult time going through my arm because of the blockage that night. From what they tell me, I wasn't awake. From the time, I don't remember, I remember fencing, and the next thing you know, I remember wake up in a hospital.
How many days later did you wake up? Was it that day? Was it a day later?
I was only getting 10% oxygen for a little bit, so I don't remember. Some of it gets a little foggy. I don't know, 5% oxygen. So I think I woke up the next morning and called my wife and said I'm naked in a strange bed. I really don't know what happened, but I had known by then something had happened.
Yeah.
And and then she told me what happened, and then I think I was in the hospital 3 days. Went home and wasn't driving for the first month, but after that, I was already getting more normal within that first month. I mean, um, actually, I made 2 sales in the hospital, and we completed the projects. And I told them I had a short term memory loss, so I was calling people, my pastor, my sons, different family members 3 or 4 times a day, and not knowing I talked to them before.
Oh no, how did they handle that? I'm sure they did it with love and kindness.
They did. As far as I know, they did. Yeah, but yeah, my wife called them and told them that just what was happening, and that they understood.
Oh, I'm sure they were just so happy that you were okay.
Yes.
When you look back on this, and I'll pull up those photos again, I mean, everything was fine. There you are. It's great. You feel great. And then you start to collapse. And we just think about how differently this could have changed. And that could have been it right then and there.
Yes, we are.
How thankful are you for life now?
I'm thankful. Yes, every day I'm thankful for my situation. I'm thankful for what my opportunities. It does make you more cognizant of the opportunities you have, and what you are to do.
I love that you bring in that you felt like this was a God moment, that you feel like you were where you were supposed to be. You weren't in a grocery store on an aisle somewhere with someone who didn't know how to do CPR. Have you always had that faith in your heart? Did that come later in life? At what point did did you rely on your faith to really make you see things in your life?
Well, I became a Christian when my wife was pregnant with an oldest son, and I knew that I needed a father figure to be a good father. I have three sons, and is there's difficult times that you keeping the faith in life. There's difficult times,
Mm.
things that happen that aren't always fair, things that happen that you wonder, you know, am I really doing the right thing? What God, why are you allowing this? But you know, there are some bad things that happen that have still led to me being in the position of being in the fencing center at that time. So you have to understand this. You know, where the final plan is may not be something you understand up front.
Yeah, I think that's such just a beautiful way to look at it all, and to see how it ended up developing in your life, and that there was somebody just out of the blue there praying for you that evening. It's just unbelievable. So, do you feel like your kids, your boys, take it seriously and will really, I don't know, stay on top of their health as they get older?
Yes, and that's part of my job is to keep reminding them and
Yeah.
to be around healthy, so I can remind them.
Hmm. So, when do you fence again? Is that how we say it? Do you say
Yes,
fence? You use it as a verb and a noun?
we also
You're
say
a
bout.
fencer and you fence, is
You
that right?
fence, you fence, or you can say bout when you
Oh,
bout
you
again.
say what? Oh, okay.
Bout. Yes,
Well, I learned a new term today. I love that. So, do you plan to just keep doing it as long as you can keep doing it?
yes, ma'am. I'm signed up for the national competition in Salt Lake City in April. Matter of fact, I did get eighth at a competition
Wow.
last April in St. Louis in
Uh-huh.
the Vet 60 men's epee. Guy I beat was ranked I think 20th in the world in
Oh my
my age
goodness.
group, and the over 60, not in the young kids stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have I have a replaced knee also, so I'm not quite as fast as I used to be. So I'm a little slower.
Well, it doesn't sound like much slower if you're able to compete that competitively. I'm so excited for you and your future. You're going to have to let us know how this big competition turns out. Maybe we can do a little follow up with you. As we wrap up here today, do you have any words of advice for anybody who maybe teetering a little bit on their faith? They don't really know what to believe. They're perhaps feeling a little bit lost. Maybe they have their own medical crisis. What would your encouragement be to them?
Well, the faith isn't can't be based on experiences because we live in a fallen world, and the world is not something that when you look around the world, you say you're looking for God. That you live in a fallen world, but God created everything. God is the creator. He gives us choices to choose and not choose Him, and we have that opportunity. That's such a loving God that gives us the ability to say, "I'm going to choose you," or I'm not going to choose you. Well, God gives us that choice. Not there's not other faith that does that. No one, as if I was God, I don't think I would be able to say, you have the choice to reject me, and that's a big thing.
Yeah, it is, and it certainly seems like it's added a lot of peace and love and happiness to your life, right?
Yes, it has, and a lot of contentment.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that you're able to feel open enough to share that with our viewers because you just never know at what place somebody is in life right now, and who knows, maybe they heard what you had to say and they'll look more into it, and it will be as impactful in their life as it has been in yours. August, what an honor to be able to share your story. Congratulations on surviving one of the most fatal medical conditions that there is. You're alive. You're supposed to be alive, and you're making a difference right here by just sharing your story. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right, you take care of yourself. And as I tell a lot of patients I interview, only good help for you from now on. Okay, no more
Thank
scares
you.
for family. Okay, thanks, August. And I just want to remind you, every Wednesday, 12:30 is a place to be for Lunch for the Soul. I'd love to hear from you. If you ever have any ideas, if you want to be featured, if you have a dramatic story to share, you can always reach out to me. You can find me through Fox 26's website, fox26houston.com. You can email me. It's easy, Melissa Wilson@fox.com. And you can always find all of my Lunch for the Souls on our Fox 26 YouTube. I hope you have a blessed day. You've certainly blessed us by being here today. August, again, thank you for being here. I'll see you back here, I hope, next time.